And good evening, everyone. It's now 4:32, and welcome to the May 6th, 2025 Parks and Public Works Committee meeting. I am acting chair Kat Cotton, and today's meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's website. Thank you for joining us. For those online, we do have a council member absent today. Council member Benson has requested to be excused from today's meeting. Is there a motion to excuse council member Benson?
So moved.
And I'll second that. And so any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote, approve that. It's unanimous. We will excuse council member Benson from today's meeting. And we're going to move on to our first item of regular business, which is to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. And then I'll second that, and we'll go ahead and say that that's approved at this point in time. And we'll move forward then with public comments, which is limited to 3 minutes for anybody that is present in the council chambers. We will not be taking any online public comment from our residents, and not seeing anybody in chambers that looks like that they're interested in speaking today. So we will close public comment and move on to approval of the minutes from the April 22nd, 2025 meeting.
Move to approve, and I have no questions or comments.
Okay, we'll approve those and move on to presentations. Our first presentation is Puget Sound Energy Up and Go Program Progress Report.
Hi, Jeff Hamlin, Parks and Public Works Director. So several months ago, we had our friends from Puget Sound Energy come and give a presentation about the Up and Go program. This was locating vehicle charging stations, likely pole mounted, but also the opportunities for pedestal mounted charging stations around the city. We had done a survey, public outreach campaign to get input, very successful public outreach. I believe we had over 200 respondees to the survey. And we have the results of that survey, and we have several sites kind of selected as preferred sites. And so tonight we have a presentation from Kate Hartgering and Carrie McNeil online, and they're going to give a presentation to you, so give you an update. So go ahead, take it away, Kate.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks again for having us. We will start with some quick introductions and also go over an overview of the program so that everybody's on the same page, since the city council meeting was a while ago. So we'll just start with introductions. I'm Kate Hartgering. I'm a community projects manager at PSE, so I've been the main point of contact with the city and have just been kind of moving this project along. I'll pass it over to Carrie.
You're muted.
When I went to share, I lost my mute and unmute. I'm Carrie McNeil, and I am the program manager for public charging here at PSC. Are you able to see the screen that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. So as I mentioned, we'll just go over pole charging just as a program, as a concept. We'll talk about our program milestones and kind of where we are in our partnership with the city of Snoqualmie. And then Carrie will go into more detail about the specific locations that we're looking at. And we're happy to take questions if you all have any.
So to go over just kind of a brief overview of the program. These are pictures here that Seattle City Light has installed. These are our actual chargers. They are the pole mounted chargers. These are dual. So they sit about 12 to 15 feet up the utility pole or a decorative street pole, street light. And then when the customer initiates charging at the pay station, that is down at about 4 feet or less, then the cords would come down. They would go over and charge the vehicle. And then at the end of the charging session, the cords would go back up into the unit. So you can see at the picture on the right, the dual mount, you can see the charger handle there when it is up at the unit and then also when it's charging in the vehicle. So any questions about the concept?
Thank you.
All
Okay.
right, so to give an idea of where we are in the process. So again, earlier at the beginning of working with Snoqualmie on this program, we had a couple of partner meetings just to make sure that the program was feasible. And then we embarked on some community outreach planning. We worked with Nicole and Dana and had just incredible turnout on the amount of feedback that we got from the community on where they wanted to see chargers sited. So we went through all of that community input and narrowed down the locations that seemed like the most popular. Then Carrie and our colleague Andrea went out and checked out all of those sites in person to see which ones were the most feasible from a technical angle. And we've narrowed down a couple of those sites today to go over with you all. So now that we're here in location selection, the next steps after this will be to actually design all of the chargers. So we'd work with our engineering vendor to develop site designs, and then PSE would take care of the permitting, installation, and interconnection of the pole chargers. And once they're installed, PSE would then own and maintain these. We would just want to work with the city on getting them installed, any logistics involved with permitting, of course, and then work with you on launching and marketing the chargers so that EV drivers in the area know that they're here. I'll pass it back to Carrie.
Okay, so we have 3 sites that we've narrowed it down to. And as I told Jeff the other day, that in the 2 times that I've gone out to look at these sites, I've decided if I go back again, I have to bring my family because you guys have some very beautiful parks. And the first location is at Swenson Park. And you can see that there's an existing street light, and this is a PSE owned light. And there's also a transformer here. So this would be a good location to either swap out this light or add an additional pole. And when I say swap out, it's because typically the existing streetlights are not engineered to hold the weight of the chargers. And so we would just put kind of a more sturdy pole light in there to hold the charger. So it would be a decorative pole in the soft surface. We would have to potentially go underground under the concrete here, but we would not be disturbing the parking spaces. Then the next location is at Gene Hansen Community Park. And this, again, there's a transformer nearby and we would have to go under the sidewalk, but then we could potentially put a dual site here. If you're familiar with this park, I didn't get any wide angles, but this is over kind of near an outbuilding that looked like it had like a wash station nearby. And there's about 10 spots here, and we would be utilizing 2 of them. And the third and final location is at Centennial Fields Park. And again, we have a transformer handy nearby. This soft surface area is where we would install a decorative pole or light and have a single charger at that station there. So now we will open it to questions and comments.
So we're talking 3 locations, potentially 4 chargers?
Well,
Correct.
we're talking 2 or 3. So we could do 2 or 3 of those locations. We don't need to do all 3 of them. Those are just the top 3, just based on the proximity to good parking, the proximity to a good transformer, a transformer that they can use, and a place where it would make sense to attract people to for charging. So with those three, we like, of course, just looking around, we like all three of them. Primarily the Jacobia, Jeannie Hansen Park and Centennial Park seem like the two best. One's on top of the hill, one's at the bottom. And Jeannie Hansen draws a lot of traffic. So we thought, that if we're going to do two, those would be our two preferences. And if they want to do three, we think the one in Swenson is also good.
Absolutely. Is there any limitation on from PSE that as far as, whether we could have the 2 or 3 spots, or cost concerns, or, things along that line?
Yeah, we had planned for 2 to 3 to start with each of the jurisdictions we're working with, so we'd be happy to do all 3.
There were no spots in the downtown core?
There's already one down.
There were.
One block over.
Yeah.
There's ones here.
Yeah.
There were, but they were in relative close proximity to two of the charging stations that we have already. And so, out of the several that were selected, out of the 200 respondents, the best ones were those 3. There's others which don't rank as high. One at the Methodist Church over here, but it's within a block and a half of 2 other chargers. So.
And then for the parking spots next to, is the intention to mark those as EV only?
I don't know. That's a good question. Kate, do you know? Can you answer that one?
Yes, we would provide signage based on the RCW for EV parking while charging. And since all these spots were paved, we would also stencil on the ground the green EV. Just because since the chargers are up in the air, we find that people don't notice that they're EV charging stations as easily, but with the stencil on the ground, it makes it pretty clear.
Councilor Cotton.
Mayor?
So you mentioned there's 3 locations, and 2 of them you would have 2 charging stations on the same pole, right? And then Centennial would actually be just one single. Is that correct?
Yes, just based on where the sidewalk was, we would have to put the pole, get back to Centennial, because we wouldn't want to break into the sidewalk here, and we can't have the cords going across the sidewalk as that would impede foot traffic.
I think Swenson could be 1 or 2. I'm not sure. Was that for Swenson?
Poles right on the side of the parking lot. I don't think there's parking on the street.
Well, we could add another pole too and make it a dual.
Correct.
And since the sites have been selected, what's the timetable then for getting those erected and stenciled and such, and into use?
So the design typically, once we have a green light on the locations, the design takes about 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'm not quite sure about the permitting timeframe for Snoqualmie. That's kind of one of the biggest, varying from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And then the actual, construction and installation would be just a couple of days. And we would provide a more ironed out construction schedule once we've received the permit and have those dates out.
So potentially for summer use.
I think so, because I don't believe the permitting effort is too much. We talked it over and we can't identify too much in the way of permits for it.
It'll be fast.
It'd be quick.
Permitting is going to be so fast now.
Let's hope. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kate and Carrie. Any other questions? Oh, that's excellent news.
Would you like us to bring this presentation to full council? We were just going to plan to bring it to you to committee today. And if you want us to bring it to council, we can do this again at council.
Do we want to wait till we have things maybe firmed up a little bit more?
We can do that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about during Parks and Public Works time, we mention it? Potentially, I don't know that we need to go through the whole presentation, but attach the presentation for the rest of the council and just mention it.
Yeah,
It's good news, so.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well,
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on our presentations, I believe Patrick Fry, who got short shifted last meeting for his presentation, will be doing the NPDES stormwater presentation.
Are you email it to me? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Evening, Council. Patrick Fry, Project Engineer, City of Snoqualmie. What I just handed to you is the stormwater management plan for this past NPDS permit cycle. It's just light reading for you guys. It might put you to bed, so it might actually be some good bedtime material, but it's a good document, and that's why I handed it out. It's not really what's in this presentation today, but I touched on it a little bit, so I figured it's just good information for you all to have. Okay. But tonight, what I am presenting is twofold. It's briefly just touching upon the NPDS stormwater permit like I do every year. So you guys are probably bored of me talking about this. But in order to keep your attention a little bit, I actually am bringing up what's coming down the pipeline because this is a new permit cycle. What that means is every 5 years, ecology comes out with new permit with new requirements. So it's pretty exciting stuff that kind of tells you what you need to be doing throughout the year, but then also what you need to be doing in 2026, 2027, 2028. So that's what a lot of this presentation is going to be. But to get started, background of the NPDS permit is it's a derivative of the Clean Water Act, 1972. You guys have all heard it. Department of Ecology manages permits for MS4s. That's Municipal Separate Stormwater Sewer System. So that's what the MS4 stands for. Stormwater system is really generalized. We are considered a phase 2 permittee. That's less than 100,000 people population. So what that means is that the larger populations, King County, Seattle, Bellevue, they have different regulations than us, but we are in the same regulation bucket as Redmond, as Issaquah, all of them. So this is the Bible for this is really the Ecology Stormwater Management Manual for Western Washington. Ecology puts those out pretty much in lieu with, or in lockstep with the permit cycles. So they just came out with a new one last year, 2024. And like I mentioned, we are in the 2024 to 2029 permit cycle. So we just got a new permit last August, outlining everything that's coming up. So in 2024, some of the highlights are we inspected 1,500 catch basins and we cleaned 406 of them. We inspected all 62 facilities. So those are the ponds, the bioswales, the vaults that we own and manage as a city. We also performed maintenance on 37 of them. We reviewed 12 site plans, inspected 2 construction sites, performed 27 business inspections, resulting in 2 corrective action letters. And we received $135,000 in grants. Here is a picture of some maintenance that was done on some of the facilities. So those are the bioswales along the parkway. You might not even realize that those are actually stormwater facilities. So the intention is to capture stormwater coming off the parkway. It runs through that grassy area, which helps clean some of the water up before it enters the stormwater system. It also picks up all the sediment and crud that gets deposited on the road. And so there was a big effort last year to clean those bioswales up that you might have noticed. All right, so in the 2024 to 2029 permit cycle, there are 9 different components to that permit. There's the stormwater planning component. So that's really just overseeing the entire stormwater permit. There's public education and outreach. So as part of this the permit, we have to educate the public on stormwater. So any sort of, stormwater education that you might notice around the city, it's really it's tied to this permit. So some of those pushes are the doggy pot stations around. There's the don't dump in drains pictures or placards on the sewers or the storm systems. There's videos before some of the video nights. There's also the third component is public involvement and participation. So that's just being available for public comment generally, and getting public comment on this if the public want to be involved. We have to map and document our system. So we do have GIS mapping of our entire stormwater system. We have to maintain a illicit discharge detection and elimination program. So you can think of that as cleaning up when we do get notified of a dump that's discharging in the water. But then it's also, you have to be forward about it. So it's investigating. We have to do investigations to make sure that there's not cross connections being sewer tied into storm, but then also that there's just nothing nefarious going on into our storm system. Controlling runoff and new development, or controlling runoff from new development, redevelopment, and construction sites. That's essentially just making sure that all those new developments, they're being built to the stormwater standards of today. So that's reviewing the site plans. That's going to the construction sites and making sure that everything's being built the way that it's supposed to be. Then component 7, highlighted in red, which is the stormwater management for existing development. It's highlighted in red because this is a new section. So hopefully all of the other items seem to at least a little bit familiar to you, but this is brand new. So this is a new component, new requirement, stormwater management for existing development. I will be talking about that in a different slide, so just hold on for that one. There's source control for existing development. This was new as of about 2 years ago. That's business inspection. So we have to inspect private businesses as part of this permit as well. And making sure that those private businesses aren't dumping, dirty oil down public storm drains, or that if they have a private storm system, that they're not dumping something pollutant down that drain, and because then that inevitably ties into a public system. And lastly, just operation maintenance. That's good housekeeping, cleaning the catch basins, cleaning the ponds, that kind of thing. So these are general ongoing items in the new permit. So these are items that were already part of previous permits, things that we already had to do. Nonetheless, they are a lift for us every year. So these might have been introduced in previous permit cycles, but they're ongoing requirements. So there's, the ongoing implementation of education and outreach programs. That's every year we're doing that. We're promoting stewardship activities. We are maintaining that illicit discharge detection elimination program. So that's maintaining that hotline, as well as a response for illicit discharges. And we are field screening 12% of our MS4 per year for that requirement. We are running the source control program. So that's inspecting 20% of the businesses, as I mentioned before. We have to inspect all 62 city-owned facilities annually and perform maintenance accordingly to them. And we do have to inspect 100% of our 3,100 catch basins every other year and clean them out if they're 40% full of sediment every time they're checked. So that equates to, call it 400 a year. Obviously that number changes, but that's a pretty good average there. As mentioned, we have to ensure new development meets stormwater code. And then moving on into new permit items. In 2025, we have to develop a social marketing campaign based on our 2024 evaluation and begin that social marketing campaign. I've highlighted it in red up there because it's a resource heavy item. So these are all new requirements. Some of them are easy, some of them are hard, some of them we're already doing. And I just wanted to make it easy to identify which ones they are. So if it's red, big ask. If it's green, already doing it. If it's black, it's, you know, fairly benign. In 2026, we have to submit locations of all MS4 outfalls. We have to begin identifying tree canopy, and we have to document specific outreach methods to identify overburden communities. Again, as mentioned, submitting all MS4 outfalls is green, as well as beginning identifying tree canopy, because we're already doing those items. You know, Phil has presented to you numerous times on our tree canopy, and we've just happened to already have GIS located all of our MS4 outfalls.
What is an overburdened community?
I don't know the definition off the top of my head. I apologize.
Well, there's a footnote that refers to it in here, but that's to a separate document, so I can't. But it's an interesting term. All right.
Okay. Going into 2027, which is a much bigger year, so you'll notice a lot of requirements, and this is just the first half. We have to implement procedures to reduce PFAS through firefighting efforts. That's already being done. Our fire department isn't using firefighting foam with PFAS in it, so nothing really to be done there, so that's nice. We have to track cost to implement this permit. Already doing that, easy. Coordination with long-range planning updates, already doing that, that's easy. The next item, hopefully will ring a bell to you all, but we have to plan another SMAP. That's a stormwater management action plan, sorry, get too many acronyms. And so that's a new SMAP for a new priority catchment area, or we have to add on to the previous SMAP. Fortunately, it won't be as big of a lift as the previous one because about half of the work has already been done. Just by generating the previous map, we already have identified all of our catchment areas, as well as prioritized and ranked them. So that was a big lift on the previous permit cycle. That work's already done, but we do have to generate a new SMAP, and so that's in 2027. We'll have to just update the new or adopt the new stormwater design manual. That's easy.
Well,
Moving.
Backup
Sorry.
question.
Yep.
On the social media thing, you mark it red as a resource intensive activity?
Yes.
Why, is that because of the requirements coming down, or why is that resource intensive?
Yeah, so the requirements for the social marketing campaign is it's an entire campaign that's dedicated to trying to improve stormwater. So it goes above and beyond just sticking some placards on the storm system. You have to do a behavior change campaign. So you have to put on events for the public to join. You have to have a well thought out goal. Whatever that goal is, you know, it could be, for one of the ones, it was a green lawn care. So we had to host events. This was a requirement of it that allowed public to come in. Then we had to see how they changed and how action or how behaviors changed based upon our campaign. So it's a lot more of an ask than just what.
Implementation of the entire program and tracking. And we have to hire a consultant to help us do it because it's a special. So it requires a fair bit of effort and expense to take it.
Patrick,
Yep.
was there something coming up in the, I thought it was this year, but regarding, especially with the businesses, like some of the new requirements for breweries as far as what, we were doing this a bit of education last year, like going out to the businesses and talking to them about, I don't know if
Yep.
it's disposal of,
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
oh, is this different?
Have additional requirements for our MPDES discharge permit for our sewer.
Oh, okay, sorry,
Those were-
okay.
And then the other component to that is that source control. So that's the business inspections. And so that's, we had employees out doing business inspections. So they were going to locations like a brewery and just making sure that, you know, they weren't dumping their waste down the storm drain or something like that. And so there is education in regards to that as well.
Okay.
Moving on, continuing in 2027, we have to update an ordinance. We have to develop and implement a municipal street sweeping program. That's actually a pretty big one. You can imagine that implementing an entire street sweeping program would be a heavy lift, but fortunately we have started street sweeping in-house as of yesterday. So it won't be as big of a lift in 2027. We have to just address more ordinances and update SOPs on PCBs and city-owned buildings. And lastly, in 2028, we have to do more mapping on outfalls. We have to do the SMED, the stormwater management for existing development. That was that component number 8 that you saw. We have to adopt and implement the tree canopy goals, and we have to map overburdened communities in relation to stormwater. So the SMED, the stormwater management for existing development, this is the big ask for this permit cycle. This is really the implementation of the SMAP, the Stormwater Management Action Plan. So if you remember, for the Stormwater Management Action Plan, we identified Kimball Creek as our target catchment area. We identified that because A, it was fairly heavily polluted. There was, it was just one of those areas, but then also there was opportunity for improvement. So you can imagine adding new stormwater improvements up on the ridge would be high cost and low benefit because they were all built to a standard of, call it 25 years ago. Meanwhile, Kimball Creek, which is the creek that's on parallels 384th, that is a little bit, it was built, everything around there was built to a lesser standard than the ridge. So that was our target catchment area.
That's
And-
why when it floods, you see like toilet seats floating down Kimball Creek and piling up on the creosote logs and, yeah. So.
And so the requirement is by 2028, we have to fully fund, start construction, or completely implement projects that meet the assigned 2.3 equivalent acreage area. That 2.3 equivalent acreage area is for Snoqualmie. It's based upon a population. So essentially, the requirement is we have to clean up or do stormwater improvements that improve 2.3 acres of area. And that 2.3 acres is from, you calculate it based on a ecology calculator. So putting in a, a filter cartridge for a 1 acre area might actually be it might total half an acre for cleaning up for this 2.3 equivalent acreage. Sorry if that's a little complicated and poorly explained, but yeah, so we have to just do fully fund, start construction, or completely implement projects for 2.3 equivalent acreage in the Kimball Creek area. And then we have to report the amount of estimated or projected equivalent acres managed by stormwater retrofit for the next phase 2. So it's essentially just planning for the next permit cycle, because this SMED is going to be in every single permit cycle moving forward. So in 2029 through 2034, there'll be SMED. That'll be a component of part of it. And now, if you'll remember, the CIP item, Kimball Creek Repair and Restoration, that will cover this cost. That's in part of the reason that is in the CIP, is because we knew this is coming down the pipeline. This isn't a surprise to the Public Works group. And so we are covered in it for that CIP item. And that's it.
Quickly, you asked what an overburden
Anyone found their note?
is a geographic area where vulnerable populations face multiple environmental harms and health risks due to exposure to pollution. So, I don't know, these communities may experience poor health outcomes and have more pollution sources. Residents may also face socioeconomic barriers to participating in clean air solutions, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just populations which face greater exposure to
Vulnerable populations. Could have said that, but all right.
They-
Not our
That's
turn.
why they get you the
They live next to the chemical plant, basically, so.
map project.
Feel pretty vulnerable.
where we will be implementing stormwater facilities, water treatment facilities into some downtown projects.
Good
So
deal.
we will be making progress on that.
Yeah, so the way that we're gonna hit those 2.3 equivalent acres is by being opportunistic with that, the Kimball Creek Repair and Restoration Fund.
Are we still, you had mentioned about doing like kind of social media or program education type of thing for the community? Are we still, or is this an ongoing thing where telling people like what you mentioned, like not to dump down the sewer drain, like pesticides and oil and,
Exactly. So that's a ongoing requirement is just general awareness, is an ongoing campaign that we just have to do every single year. So there's general awareness efforts, put forth. Those efforts vary year to year. And that's different, though similar to the behavior change campaign. Yeah, so there's the general awareness, which is exactly what you're talking about. That's posting the video, Freddy the Fish, before our video plays up on Community Park. And then there's the behavior change campaign, which is trying to get the community to, be more natural in their lawn care and actually implementing a long progressive campaign to do just that, as opposed to just a general awareness. Does that make sense?
yes, it does.
Okay.
Absolutely. Great. Anybody else with questions? See, you explained it well.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Fry. All right, next we have Agenda Bill AB 25-060 Snoqualmie Watershed Forum Interlocal Agreement Renewal.
Good afternoon, Phil Bennett, Parks and Public Works Deputy Director, struggling with the microphone. So this agenda bill is a renewal of a long-standing series of agreements that we have with the Snoqualmie Watershed Forum beginning in 2001. This new agreement has been developed. It's been developed with extensive vetting during 2024 by the different members that are part of the Snoqualmie Watershed Forum. And so our staff have been involved in this. City attorney has as well. And there's from the King County side, the King County attorney has been involved, and the agreement is ready to go. So the forum members voted to bring the agreement forward to the different councils for approval. The term of the agreement is from January 1st, 2026 until the end of 2035. So it'll be a 10-year agreement that we're moving into. So any questions or anything that I can clarify?
I saw on the budget listings that it was between Snoqualmie's contribution between like $8,000 to $9,000 for those first 2 years. Is it anticipated that that's be about what it will be for each additional year in the 10 years, or is that seem to change much?
That is unknown. I spoke with a representative at the Snoqualmie Watershed Forum about this issue, and I said, how do we know what the dollars are that we're going to spend in successive years? And the response I got was that there would be an inflationary increase, and there would also be, if it was decided by the forum members to change the staffing of the forum on the staff side, which our representative, which is Councilmember Washington currently, and I believe you're the alternate. Yeah. So that would be a discussion item each year towards the end of the year for the following year. And so we would have a chance as the member or the representative would be involved in those conversations if the forum decided as a whole to change their model of how they operate on the staff side.
And it hasn't been, the Watershed Forum gets money from RS7 and actually allocates that out to particular projects and whatnot. We've been the recipient of several.
Yeah, I saw that
So,
information. Yeah.
Yeah,
It didn't seem like it. Yeah.
it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So great. No, I think, I didn't have any other questions. Did
Oh,
you?
Only other one, is there intent to have discussions about the benefits of the watershed at council? Or has there been consideration of putting this on consent?
So I did speak with, okay, I'll answer your second part of the question first. I did speak with Councilmember Washington and he was unable to attend the meeting tonight. You know, he is our representative to the forum. And so I asked if he could be here. He did let me know that he was comfortable with the agreement as it stands. He was involved in the development of that. And he said from his standpoint, it would be fine on consent if that's what the committee decides. And then in terms of the benefits, I've listed some here in the information on the agenda bill. I can speak a little more to those, but to be perfectly honest, I think that yourself as a long-standing representative and Councilmember Washington also could speak to those. So.
I was thinking of, yeah, consent, just because it's a renewal and it didn't seem like they substantially changed the, the ILA. It was more wording that was kind of adjusted on that. It
Right,
seemed
it's
like-
typical practice to try to fund the watershed staff so that that money coming through, all of it gets out the projects.
Yeah,
Um,
but we definitely could say a few words if,
yeah, let's
Seems
leave it on, give the opportunity for top. Half of mine to get it to consent, but all right, we'll leave it where it is.
non-consent, okay. All right, super. Let's see.
Thank you.
Lastly, any other discussion? Oh, one thing, I didn't know if there was any, since we had to cut things short at the last meeting, any director reports that anybody wanted to present or?
Oh, you gave him a chance.
There
There he goes.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I can give you a quick director's
Just
report.
quick.
Sure,
Wanna amend the
absolutely.
agenda?
Do you want
So
to agenda
sorry?
add director reports? So it's not on the agenda, so do we need? to
Oh,
put it
I
on the
figured
agenda?
because it was on last one's and it was on the minutes that we didn't get to do it due to a time constraint.
It's regularly on the last committee meeting of every month, so the second committee meeting. If
Oh,
it gets skipped, then it just goes to the next one. I mean, certainly if you want to, but we just need to amend the agenda to add it.
is there anything vital or do you want to wait till the next meeting?
No, nothing vital, except I can tell you that, you know, we've got the pavement fixed over at the bridges, at the Kimball Bridges. So
Oh.
that's done and we just paved 384th today.
Excellent.
So
What was fixed at Kimball?
the pavement around the bridges. Remember we had the dip. Yeah, we had the settling. It was preloaded. Yeah, so it's settled in and we've got it paved. So it's in,
Be some happy residents with 384th
yeah,
getting paid.
less exciting though.
I think that's exciting. It's exciting.
They were pretty significant. You go too fast, it's no longer fun.
All right, any points for discussion on, like future items to bring up for discussion or? No? How about we make a motion to adjourn
So move.
and I can second that. And I'm sure we would all be in favor of that. And so we can adjourn at 5:15 today for this adventure in Parks and Public Works. Thank you.